Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Holly.
Where are you going?
Going to Jerome.
It was fine when I was parked. When I put it on you, it looked fine.
You look like a ghost. You see me?
Yeah, you look like a ghost, like you were saying.
On camera, do you still love me?
Yes.
How much?
To the moon and back.
Really? My dream told me different.
Yeah. It's just to drive you crazy.
Just what?
That's just to drive you crazy.
Crazy?
Yeah.
What are you in?
Your crazy meter's already pretty high. Okay. Bye.
Nope.
You're gonna make me crash.
Are you gonna be there for me if I start having issues?
No. You're on your own. That one.
Really? Ryan?
Really?
That's how you treat somebody that you love?
I'll be there for you. I'll sprinkle the holy water on you. It smells.
I think.
Not worried about it.
Not worried about it?
Be fine. We'll just do our little.
So yeah,
deal.
this is totally relaxed. It's not scripted. Holly, she is an actress, but she also is part of the film too. She's gonna work on some of the. She's got a lot of.
Well, it's the Jerome Grand Hotel now. It used to be the United Verde Hospital, and it was built in 1926. Okay, there was 15,000 people in the town. It was the third or fourth largest city in Arizona, all copper mines. This hospital was built with 52 beds in it, so it could accommodate 52 patients. And they had a 2,000 square foot operating room, which was also the delivery room area. You know, the restaurant has called themselves the Asylum for years now, and so a lot of people think it was a mental hospital, but it was really medical and surgical is what it was. They did have a psych ward up here. So I mean, they did have stuff of all nature, you know, with a town of 15,000, it did have to take care of every need. They said a lot of amputations were going on up here because there was no antibiotics, you know, for the hospitals before the war, so it was a lot of surgeries like that. And then it was closed in the 50s, 52 or 53, and sat empty for 42 years. And it was finally put up for sale in 94, and it was my Uncle Larry that bought the building and wanted to make it into a hotel. We're averaging 250 or 300,000 tourists every year are coming to town. And it's gotten really popular lately with the ghost hunting and all that because the Travel Channel came up here and filmed.
Are our ghost adventures. The town of Jerome, Arizona has been nicknamed Ghost City because it's said the spirits outnumber the residents. Originally a mining town that produced over $1 billion in copper, gold, and silver, it attracted the greedy and the corrupt. The big town needed a hospital, mostly to deal with the mining accidents and diseases like tuberculosis. So in 1926, the United Verde Hospital was opened. Right now, we are pulling up to the Jerome Grand Hotel, a place that has probably housed more deaths per square foot in any location we've ever been. I've heard 9,000 deaths.
9,000, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trapped energy in this location right here.
There's been a few cases here of deaths that have been very suspicious.
Yeah.
And we're here to find answers not only for the guy who called us, but also maybe try and help the dead who are unrested, whose deaths may have been covered up and concealed.
I know when we first came in, you were talking about there was a building down below.
Yes, the hospital that was operating before this one.
Okay.
It was, they ended up rebuilding it here because it was built on a fault line and it took some damage during a dynamite explosion. That building right down the road. I think it was built in 1917 and only operated for about 9 years until 1926 when they ended up building this hospital. This hospital, the morgue was over here. Okay, but then when they closed this hospital in 26 and built the one up the road, they didn't put a morgue in the hospital up the road. It had everything else, but it did not have the morgue. And so John McMillan was the then mortician at the time, and the morgue was in his house down in town. And so he'd be up there, and they said he'd be waiting outside for the body, and things are busy, and it's taken us a while to get down there. And the guy just stops waiting, and he comes into the hospital and says, "Where's the body?" And they tell him, "Oh, it's up, on the second floor." And he goes up there, and he goes into the room, and he grabs the body up off the bed. And they said this guy throws the body over the back of his shoulder, and he's all pissed off, and he starts walking down the stairs, out of the hospital. And he goes out the front doors, which would have been the emergency room doors, and they said we all go outside, and he's like got a crowd, watching him. And he goes past the back of the hearse, and he goes up to the passenger door of his car, and he opens up that door, and he just sits that body down in the seat, sitting upright next to where he's going to be sitting, like his passenger. This door, the white door, that would have taken you straight into the morgue. Just be careful as you guys walk around here.
I have to say, I've never been in a morgue before, so just even the thought of entering to one is a bit creepy.
They would have to sometimes stack the bodies in here, and I don't know how many bodies they'd get in this morgue before the ground thawed a little bit and they were able to go down there and bury the actual bodies. I don't know if everybody got an actual burial. It was one of those times where there was 15,000 people in the town, and they were losing one a day in the big hospital up there, and there's not that many graves down there when you walk around the cemetery and stuff. A lot of kids, during different things like the Spanish flu that came through, and they were doing mass quarantines all the way through the town. In fact, I was told that they lost almost a third of the town's population. Like the town was 15,000, and during the worldwide flu epidemics, that was the teens, they lost maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people. And they had roadblocks at the top going up over to Prescott, and they had roadblocks at the bottom going down through into Cottonwood. And there was supplies being brought in at either side, but nobody was coming in and nobody was getting out. It's kind of creepy to think about. We're standing where there was bodies. Now this is the door here that would take you into the other side where we were, kind of there's a hallway there that would go into the morgue, and then this was the emergency room.
I want people to understand what's really going on, and with ghosts. I talk to spirits, by the way. I see them, hear them, feel them. And so I have since I was little, since I was born. I was up here cleaning and had forgotten something and came back to get it. And when I opened the door, I heard, and there was so many of them. I thought there was a pipe busted. It was a loud fervor of but I couldn't make out distinct words, but it was so many voices. And I was like, oh, because at first I went, there's a pipe broken. And I started to think about looking around, and then I was like, wait, the water's not on in this building yet. And so then I had to take a minute and go, oh, it's you guys, okay. And then met many more after that. And so I tried, and mostly being in the building late is when, for whatever reason, the more angry ones come out. Mm-hmm. And that I don't want, there was a little pervy one in the hallway. I didn't know his name, I just called him the cowboy because of the way he, with the trench coat and the boots and the way he walked and stuff. And he would always be like, come around the corner, little girl. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, no, we'll talk tomorrow when you're in a better mood. I'm not falling for that. This isn't my first rodeo. Mm-hmm. And so Kim got a name out of him. And so she said Cowboy Bob. And she said he didn't object to being called Cowboy. And she said, do you like to bother the other women the way you bother Melissa? And he said, yes. On her little spirit box thing. That's she brought it here once, and we were back in the hallway, and I just said, I want to hear if what I'm hearing comes through. I want to know if this tool is legitimate, and so I want to test it against what I hear. But it all happened so fast.
This is what my parents have told me, that the person that owned this building had a daughter here, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, something around there. This was the daughter's bedroom, or was going to be the daughter's bedroom. And the daughter didn't have any friends, and she's up here in Jerome. There's not too many kids up here. And she's probably maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, and so had made an imaginary friend inside this building. Okay, and the dad thought, well, there's nothing wrong with that. The girl doesn't have any friends. So she's playing with this imaginary friend every day after school, and the father started realizing that there was a problem when the daughter was saying, well, my friend wants me to go up onto the roof. There was also a maintenance guy named Michael that committed suicide probably 4 years ago, and he was one of the workers that was working on this building. And I think they said that, you know, there's just something about this building, you know, because he was living here and he was doing some work on it, and then just one day I think he walked down the road to the courthouse, which is just down the road a little ways, and shot himself at like 8 o'clock in the morning. This was Michael's room. If you want to walk in here, and you can see again where he is redoing the wall. He was putting that texture up on the wall, and he was painting, and it's like he got to that point, and that was it. You can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel the energy a little bit. All the old tile, you know, the windows, they go up to the ceiling. That I think they were using for sunlight, but it was also the blast windows. They were using ether and cyclopropane to put patients to sleep for surgeries, and it was very flammable. And they said if you didn't have windows, then what could happen is if you blew up your tanks, you know, there's nowhere for the explosion to go out. With the windows, they said the theory was that the explosion would break out the glass and be sucked right out the front of the building. And so it would, you know, it's just crazy what they were doing back then.
And what type of operations went on in here? Is this where the amputation?
Probably still mostly on a lot of amputations, because there was no antibiotics. You couldn't stop infection from spreading, so they would amputate. And these mines, they go down as far as a mile deep, so they're over 5,000 feet underground, and there's over 88 miles of tunnels. And they said it was 130 to 140 degrees down there at the base of these tunnels. And you know, these guys were working in really grueling conditions and using dynamite and drills that weighed twice as much as any one person, and they were getting hurt pretty bad. And we get guests checking out every morning that have stories, sometimes a dozen rooms. You know, half of what we got up there, they check out, and they've all got stories. So okay, we're going into the boiler room right now. Now if we come all the way over here to the gate, you will see the outline of a person's body. And this is where they found Claude Harvey. This was the guy that was found dead under the elevator in 1935, April 3rd, and it was one of the nurses that we were speaking with that found his body, came back here, and she said he was just doing some work on it. He was trying to take a look at it. I think it became stuck. It was coming down and it stopped, you know, in an odd spot where it shouldn't be. And so he's laying down there looking at it, and then the nurse comes back here and finds his body under the elevator. Now nobody knows exactly what happened, and there was a lot of people suspecting foul play, and that, you know, that something else was involved. Somebody may have killed him and made it look like an accident. You can just touch some contacts together over here and call the elevator down, you know, from back here, and manipulate a scene and make it look like the elevators come down and killed somebody. But they said there was a contusion on his forehead that just didn't make sense, and there was the way the body's kind of laid out. It's almost like somebody's laid the body out here. And they told us that this was the first ghost that you would see roaming the halls, was the guy that was very short, you know, like the outline shows. He was about 5 feet. He had a long beard, and he wore that black suit. And they said he would stand out like a sore thumb. You'd see him up there. You got all these other people walking in the halls in their white hospital uniforms and stuff. And here comes Claude in his black suit. And then you look again, and he's gone. And they said he was always here after he was found dead under here. So we don't know if the elevator really did do it, or if it was somebody else, you know, that worked here at the time, wanted to kill him. They said we did suspect that man, John Zurkovich, that wanted his job, said he was the better guy for the job, and they did promote John Zurkovich to the chief engineer, or whatever, you know, his title was after Claude was dead. So they thought that maybe that guy John did it. But
So was there ever an investigation?
no, the mining company was, they said it was almost like they were involved in the cover-up. They took the body out of the hospital, and they wouldn't let them do an x-ray of the body. They wanted to see if the guy had a broken neck, because if the elevator came down and killed him, he probably would have a broken neck. And they said that would rule out, you know, a few things. And they said they took the body out of here, and they took him down to the morgue, and they never did get to shoot an x-ray or do an autopsy or anything that you would have expected to have been done. Instead, the mining company produced a coroner's inquest that just said that it was an accident, that Phelps Dodge wasn't responsible, that it was the elevator that killed him, and these nurses said there's no way the elevator killed him. And they said that's why they think that he's here still, is that nobody knows how he really did die, and maybe he's unsettled a little bit. Like Abel gives them through the boiler room, we'll check out some of the other spots. There was a man that hung himself back in the back room as well.
In the boiler room?
This pipe right here is the steam pipe where the man, and that's his name, Manoah Hoffpower, hung himself. And he was a caretaker that was here in the early 80s. They said he was a drinker. He used to go down to the bars and he used to drink all the time. And they hadn't seen him for 3 or 4 days. And it was the chief of police that came up here and looked around the building and found him hung off that steam pipe. And he said, I walked back here and I see him standing in the room. It was real dark. It was nighttime. He couldn't really see his face. And he said, I had my light turned off and I see a guy standing there and I talked to him for about 30 or 45 seconds, and then I realized the guy's not talking, there's something wrong, and he turns his flashlight on and there's a rope around his neck.
Can you see?
He had stretched the rope down to the point where he was almost standing back up on the ground. There might have been a half an inch of space between his shoes and the floor. Oh, wow. So the cop thought he was standing up when he walked back here, but he was really hung off that pipe right there. Just watch your step as you exit. This was used as a quarantined out area, like a sanatorium for TB patients. If you got consumption, this is most likely where you were. And you were left up here, you weren't allowed to go back down into the building. You had a very contagious illness. And so that was after the maternity phase. And then they said in the 40s it was used for polio. This was a polio ward. So there were patients that passed, but it started out as new babies, being born. So you can look around maybe the hall. I've got a story of a room over here that I can tell you. It's an experience that I had. Okay, this is the room right here. It was probably close to 4 years ago that I was working my shift at the front desk downstairs in the lobby. Okay. And I work 8 to 4. I worked the first shift. And it was probably 9:30 in the morning and all the guests had already checked out. There was only 5 or 6 rooms that stayed that night before. And so now it's Wednesday morning and they're all checked out. And there was one other guy working the desk with me. His name is Josh. And he was making a reservation on the computer. And I'm sitting down there in the chair by the old switchboard. That's the old 1940s telephone plug board that we plug in all the calls and we can ring all the rooms. And so as I'm sitting down there, I start getting a phone call coming through on that switchboard after all the guests had checked out. Everybody's gone and housekeepers just use radios. So I'm thinking, how is somebody still here? And I look over and it's coming from room 41. And my first thought was nobody stayed up on the 4th floor last night. All those rooms should be empty. Who would be in 41? And I took the plug and I plugged it in and I brought the phone up to my ear. And before I could even talk and say, this is Chris at the front desk, I hear a girl screaming, into this phone. And it lasted 3 or 4 seconds, just like a scream out of a scary movie, that you would hear. And the phone goes dead. And I buzzed that phone like 2 or 3 times from the desk and nobody picked it back up. So I grabbed the keys and I just hauled ass, up the stairs and ran into the room and there was nobody in the room. The room was completely empty. And so I picked up the phone and it rang down to the desk and the other guy answered it and we're testing the phone lines and phone lines worked fine. I went downstairs and I talked with the housekeeper. She hadn't been anywhere up here. I had been walking through the building looking for somebody for maybe 15 minutes and I finally gave up. I said, I don't know what it was. I'm just gonna go back to work. And so I walked back down to the lobby and I walk around and I sit back down in that chair by the switchboard. As soon as I made contact with the chair and was sitting by the switchboard again, 41 lights up again. Okay, and I'm getting call number 2. And my initial thought was it knows that I'm back. Something is in the room and it's trying to call me and it knows that I just got back to the desk. And so I took that plug out and I plugged it in and I just brought the phone up and I listened and all I could hear was that same female tone of voice trying to breathe. It was like a breathing noise, like in and out. Lasted a few seconds, clicked and went dead. I made it to the door in 5 seconds. I ran up the stairs so fast and there was still nobody in the room. And this was their psychiatric area. And that's where they took all the patients that were mentally ill that were gonna go outside for some fresh air and sunlight. They take you all outside. That was the little porch. There is a story of this room here, number 37B. It's one of the active rooms and one of the nurses that used to work here told us of a girl that was in there that had schizophrenia, and each night that she was going to sleep, they're giving her medication, and she's going to sleep, and she's restrained, and they're putting wrist restraints on her and ankle restraints because she was pretty far along with her condition. She's 24 years old, okay, and she goes to sleep on the 7th night that she's here in the hospital, and the nurse that we're talking to says, I don't think that the medication cycle was given to this girl, or it wasn't given properly, because at 2:45 that same morning, okay, she wakes up and she somehow gets herself loose and free from the restraints that she's been put in, and she opens up the window behind her bed, and this is not an institution where there'd be bars in the windows, there would have just been a screen. And she kicks that screen out or pushes that screen out, and she jumps right out the window and falls 3 stories right behind the hospital. And the nurse that was on shift walking down on the first floor, she was in the cafeteria, and she saw this happen from looking out the window. She's just looking out the back window and sees somebody fall and thought, that can't be a person, that's got to be something that broke free from the mountain or came falling down from the hill. And so she ran outside to check and said, there's the girl laying on the floor, still alive. They got her back in the hospital, and she died 36 hours later in this hospital from all the injuries sustained from that fall. Okay, so now how about your room, your suite? Shall we go check that one out? All right, let's go. Okay. So here we are. This would have been the formal entryway into the operating room. And if you notice, these doors swing both in and out for gurneys to go both ways, like in an operating room today. These ones here, this is the main set of operating room doors that would push in and out. Okay, and so this is where they really did do all the surgeries, all the operations were done right in here. This was the delivery room.
Okay.
So the delivery table was against the back wall, and there would have been a door taking you straight into the nursery, what is now room 30, its own little self-contained balcony room. So literally all the babies were just born in here. And then this is the, where you saw the drain
Yes.
on the floor.
So this would have been.
Now this room here had a door taking you into the main operating room, and over here is where they had their triple sinks, their 3-compartment sink that you would, you know, turn on with your knee and be able to clean up and do all that. And then they did have the actual bathroom here with the shower, and you could take a full shower, you could clean up before and after doing the surgery. This one has the same tile on the floor and the walls.
Wow. So the other side,
Right?
where Ryan doesn't want to stay.
A lot of people do get like a dark feeling over there. Let's go check that out real quick. Yeah, I feel a little bit different just walking in here. It does have a different, the density, you know, I would say the air is like thicker in here. It just feels different. But what it was is there was shelves all around it. And, you know, I was the one in here years ago helping them rip out all these shelves, a lot of the equipment, you know, the stock and stuff, and sterilized equipment, because the kitchen used to be the sterilization room. But it's almost like something maybe happened back here, or maybe this was an area that they kept patients that were just undergone surgery. Maybe it was like an ICU area for a little bit, because a lot of people do end up sleeping in the other side. They don't, for some reason, like this side.
Well, Chris, thanks so much. I mean, this has been fabulous. Appreciate it. Now, how would someone learn more about the Jerome Hotel?
Well, come up and rent a room. You got to experience it firsthand.
Right.
You know, we do book out 6-8 weeks in advance on weekends, and like 2 years for Halloween. So I mean, call up and book a room. We do ghost tours Monday through Thursday, where you can come up and do a tour, but then just go online and maybe read some of the stories. And we're trying to put all of the experiences that we have written in the book onto an online ebook on our website, which is JeromeGrandHotel.com. So guests will be able to go on there and read and maybe add their own story, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, just come up and spend the night and see the town. The whole town is just awesome. I mean, Jerome has a lot to offer with the restaurants and the wineries and the historical, you know, aspect of it with all the mining history and everything. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And book in advance, right?
Book in advance, absolutely.
All right. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's been great.
It's my pleasure.
Ask him if-
You'll just start it off with like, thanks for showing us the everything. We appreciate it.
Let's do a slight angle because I'm right in the.
You just say, hey Chris, is there anything you'd like to? You could just say, well, you know, anything about how we welcome all guests or whatever, and then just say.
How would someone else learn more about the hotel?
Okay.
And then you could maybe pitch like. No, never mind. Just go ahead. Here's something. So what are we doing tonight?
Well,
We're gonna go down to the graveyard.
how old is the Ouija board that we're going to use?
I've got one from like the teens or the 20s.
Is it here? Like
It's
here?
downstairs, yeah.
Okay.
It's downstairs. It's
Nice.
a legit Ouija board.
By far.
Are we talking about the
Turn on your mic.
Then silent? Are we talking
We
about
still
me?
have audio from here, but
Me?
yeah.
The hospital, the old ward.
We're not
or
going to the hospital? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So you know.
We're doing the old hospital last because once we do that, it's game over.
Why are we doing that last?
Because it's game over. We'll do the graveyard. We'll get some shots heading up to the to the hotel.
What are you going to do at the graveyard?
Huh?
We'll grab our stuff and then we'll just head down to the.
You can't say it, can you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the original hospital. Original surgical room. This is a surgical room,
Right.
but this surgical room is all pretty. Let's go to like a raw one.
You're afraid to go down there, aren't you? Well, no, I mean, I think that there's probably like a lot of lost bodies and souls that are roaming around there. And do I want to know what they went through? No.
And the morgue's down there.
Yeah.
We could all get in the ice where they kept the frozen bodies.
Right.
We could all get in there.
Okay. And what?
I don't know.
And you're going to do that, but you're afraid to go like do a Ouija board.
I just think the Ouija board is just like
No, it is. It's not good. That's
It's
what they
almost
say.
like a portal. It's like
It's a
opening up
portal, yeah.
Portal for. Yeah. And
well, let's just get this going. Enough talking about it. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's just go.
Well, little do you know that, yeah, they talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
I have to drive.
Oh my God.
That's you.
Humboldt brand.
Oh, do you have the key to or you need it?
Oh, I got some keys. It doesn't take one to go all the way down to the lobby.
Don't be afraid.
Where's my lighter? I got it.
He's getting these chills. It's weird.
He's been getting the goosebumps the whole
Yeah, he
night.
has.
Yeah, well,
That's good though.
I want to see somebody like watch this.
Just standing there.
Just standing there.
Oh, first floor.
I love the smell of this elevator.
Do you?
Yeah, do you smell the oil? You don't smell that?
I smell something, but I don't know if I love it.
It smells like history.
Really?
Yeah. If this is my hotel, I wouldn't have spiders right there. I would let the rawness be creepy, you know?
Where?
Huh?
Where? There's a spider on my head?
Oh, look up there.
Big spider up there.
Oh, shut the hell up.
See it?
That is fake.
That's a real spider.
Shut up.
We keep the bugs
Oh,
out.
you're smart. Look, he's thinking. I like how he thinks ahead.
What?
That's to get us in.
Drill and a hammer?
Yeah, that's good to get us.
Yeah.
I know what he's thinking. I do know how.
I know hammer.
Just kidding. But yeah, it's a double. Good old hammers.
We going?
Let's go, guys.
Now?
Yeah, now.
Oh, there's my regular purse.
All right. You guys ready?
Yep. What are we doing first?
Turn on your light, Holly. Or
Me?
not your light, your
Mike.
mic.
Oh, my mic.
One that says Cemetery Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, huh?
I think it's so.
That's a good indicator,
That's
huh?
a good thing. I think this is the gate that we just walked through.
I gotta take a leak.
Go for it.
Is your beer in the six-pack thing?
It is, yeah.
Mine?
Correct, still.
How far is it?
I haven't been down there before. This is Rosetta, Nika and Margaret,
Oh, she's Hispanic.
1916.
So, Chris,
Yeah.
people that died up there, is this where they're buried?
Yeah. But this was the closest, so they
There's
brought it
another
down
one over
there.
here. Did you guys see this one?
Oh, that's creepy looking. Why is that creepy looking? Does that look like a face?
Well, that used to be a cross. Okay.
Is that better than it was?
A little bit.
That's an
In my
interesting
field of
headstone,
view,
right?
at least, what's directly over the cross?
It looks lopsided.
The hotel?
Fix it.
I had to.
Yeah, the name's over here on this side if you bring your camera over here. 5 years old, 1908 to
Aw.
1913.
Also,
Oh, little guy.
That's pretty sad.
I'd be upset if I was here.
I would be too. I'll be...
all by myself.
This has a name on it. Come up here, I'll go get the light.
Oh yeah, it does. And that from all the way from Italy to here, chasing gold, the mining town.
You think?
Yeah, of
Their
course.
labor force was that they had brought in like 5 or 6 different ethnic, groups. There was a lot of Irish, there was a lot of Spaniards, there was a lot of
Italians.
Italians.
He's got family back home going, I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
You can see the hospital right here. Under the building and be walking around. We've got to sit down with this thing.
You want to do this?
I'm down if you are.
I will.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right?
You guys can. I'll watch.
Why?
Let's do it.
Look at that.
It is old.
Why not?
Seriously?
Yeah.
House.
You're not a girl.
Okay. Let me get some light over here. Well, that was pretty easy. That's not really good. You can try going to the north or we went through last time.
It's kind of a creepy way to get in, right?
This is legit.
Okay, I can believe it. Oh, I don't know what that is.
Now, I'm sure she locked the door on the inside, but
Can you see? Oh. There's very little room. Where do you want to be?
here we are. Where should we sit up?
Here.
The Ouija board.
I see here.
Where are we right now?
And so we're in the morgue of the old hospital, about to use a 1920s Ouija board. Each of us have to put 2 fingers on the Ouija board. You would put your 2 fingers down there.
Just
Of
these
each,
two?
both hands. You gotta use both hands.
Oh.
And then we're gonna see where it guides us, if anywhere. We can ask questions. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Is there anybody with us here right now in the morgue of the old hospital? It's off the board here on the corner. That's where yes is though.
What is your name?
Who's that?
What was that, Jay?
Jay. O. We're going to go up to H, I bet.
You gotta keep your finger just on the very bottom of it. H.
John. We're going to go down to John, I bet. N. How old are you? Do you know how long you lived? Oh, your 50s, huh?
Is there anything bad in this building that we should be aware of, John?
It's going to yes. That's great.
Nice.
D.
It's E, right?
D.
Oh, don't go IL, please. No.
Like that.
No. Oh, shit. Really? Okay, we get it. John, we get it. Don't go to L. Alright, go to L. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's the devil. What's the first word that comes to your mind?
Was moving to my left. I'm not putting any pressure on this at all.
That's a G. And here comes an O. Come on, guys. Seriously, let's go. I'm good.
What was the question?
Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Question.
Holly-Ann,
What?
do you love me?
All my heart and soul.
Okay, stop taping.
Why can't I tape you?
Because.
I like taping you. I don't know when I'll ever see you again.
Well, that's weird.
What?
When or
When?
if? You don't know
When?
if you'll ever see me.